Miami Hurricanes quarterback Cam Ward played in the Pop Tarts Bowl on Saturday, and that's no surprise. I think the surprise to me and most everybody else would have been if he didn't play. And for 2 quarters, we watched what we have seen all season long. That's him making plays and throwing touchdown passes. And in a game which was shaking out to be a real showcase for him to show his skill set in what was going to be a shootout, that all came to a screeching halt at halftime. This is QB Unfiltered, my take, the Cam Ward experience, number 13, the U versus Iowa State.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
In an era where D1 quarterbacks usually end up standing on the sideline of bowl games wearing sweatsuits and Ray-Bans, Miami's Cam Ward went old school Saturday in the Pop Tarts Bowl against Iowa State and played for 2 quarters. And while it was only in the first half of the Canes' 42-41 loss to the Cyclones, it once again showed the college football world exactly what Cam Ward can do. He made plays, he extended plays, he threw touchdown passes, and he put points on the board for the Canes. Now, I really have some mixed emotions and thoughts about what I witnessed on Saturday because I'm going to come at this from 2 different viewpoints. Number 1, as a former player and quarterback, and number 2, as a former college football coach. And so with those 2 things in mind, I'm going to try not to rant too much. When Cam Ward first announced that he was going to play in this game, way back after they played their final regular season game against Syracuse, and by the way, does anybody ever remember Warren Moon, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, etc., ever having to announce that they were going to be playing in their team's bowl games? Yeah, I don't think so. I'm paraphrasing him a little bit here, but when asked why he was going to play, he said something to the effect of, well, it's just one more opportunity to win another game for the University of Miami. And of course, Cam was going to play. I mean, when you are the face of the program and when you play the most important position on the field, that's what you do. If you're a guy, if you're a competitor, you play. Now, on the business side of this, and this always seems to be the issue at hand with these quarterbacks that opt out of games or other position players that opt out of bowl games because it has something to do with the old business decision, the old tired, well, I don't want to get hurt, or the tried and true, I want to get ready for the NFL draft, that kind of crap. If I'm a front office guy in the NFL, that's one of the checks that I'm going to put in a quarterback's box if I'm looking at drafting this guy, that he did indeed play in his team's bowl game. Because according to me, my opinion, that says something about what a guy's got going on right here and right up here. And that sort of stuff and that attitude and that competitiveness and that inner drive, that translates to success at the professional level. Just my opinion. So when Cam came out and said he was going to play, I was fired up, number 1. Number 2, I wasn't surprised, and I was looking forward to this game. And so his decision to sit the second half was really frustrating to me. And I'm a guy that just watches college football games on Saturday and evaluates QBs. I'm not a Hurricane rabid fan. I'm not a guy that traveled to this game. I'm not a guy that bought tickets for him or his family to watch this game. I'm not a fan who waited months to go watch Miami play in a bowl game and to see the best quarterback in the country play. I'm not that guy. Okay, so just imagine how pissed off and frustrated the Hurricane fan base is today, which I'm recording this on Sunday. The game was played yesterday. Let's just say that when the third quarter rolled around and I saw him standing there on the sideline without his helmet, it took me a second to process what I was seeing. But sure enough, Cam played one half and sat out the second half of their 1-point loss. And there are so many layers to this, and it's just not Cam Ward. Okay. Now, the only time I'm going to talk about Xavier Restrepo is right now. He's involved in this too. At the rate college football is going with their best players opting out of quote unquote meaningless bowl games, and that's a topic for another show in itself. Meaningless to who? Okay. We can speak for hours on that topic, but as I said, there are a lot of layers to these guys sitting out and what it does to their team, to their coaches, to their teammates, and to the bowl sponsors, the fans, all of that stuff. But I really, really believe that college football and the bowl system is in real trouble. And I said this on a show I did last week, that I think the bowl games that are not attached to the 12-team playoff are going to start fading into the sunset. Now, I realize that these bowls for the sponsors and the guys that are throwing the money down to put them on, that they're tax write-offs, right? But still, at the end of the day, it's just really, really disappointing to watch what went on yesterday when what we were watching in the second half of a game that was going to be back and forth, fun to watch. And what we got in the second half was basically watching Miami's number 2s and number 3s play against Iowa State. Okay, so enough of that. Now, as always, let's start with Cam Ward. Cam was 12 for 19 for 190 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and again, he did all of this in the first half of play. His first touchdown pass was a big one. It gave him the all-time Division I record for career touchdown passes. So he came into the game tied with Houston's Case Keenum. His first touchdown pass of the game gives him the record with 156 career touchdown passes. Congratulations, Cam Ward. Okay, now I always talk about what I think his best throws of the game were. I selected 4, and let's talk about those right now. I think his best pass of the game was the 40-yard TD pass that he threw to Trader on the scramble to his right, which tied the score at 21. And this is textbook quarterback technique here. Watch him climb the pocket, right? He does a great job of climbing, protecting the ball, and then he drifts to his right. And on the move, he delivers the ball and a dime to Trader, who's running like a crossing route type deal. And Cam Ward put it right on him for a touchdown. Now, on this play, I want you to watch running back Mark Fletcher and his pass protection. This is a big one for me because a lot of quarterbacks get lit up because their running backs do a horseshit job of pass pro. And pass blocking for a running back is like stock blocking for a receiver. It's a matter of want to. And Fletcher does a hell of a job of sticking his nose in here and picking up this linebacker who's got a wind sprint to Cam Ward. He does a great job of getting him blocked, which allows Cam to climb, get out of the pocket, and on the move, throw the ball to Trader for the touchdown. Okay, his second best pass was the 33-yard post route to Arroyo, which tied the game at 28. Now, I've talked about this in other shows, and I attach numbers to throws. So when quarterbacks throw the ball on a line or on a rope with smoke on it, I call that a 1. When they put a little bit of air on it or touch it in there, I call that a 2. And when they throw outside verticals or post routes and put a lot of air on the throw, I call that a 3. And you always want to throw a 3 on an outside vert or a post route because if you overthrow your receiver, you give him an opportunity to catch up and go get the ball. If you underthrow him, you give him an opportunity to slip the DB, go up and high point the ball. But if you throw those outside verts or posts and you throw it flat and you overthrow the receiver, play's over. He has no chance to catch it. So Cam Ward does a great job, drops the ball right in the bucket to Arroyo. And what I really liked on this play, the play before this, Iowa State's free safety went out, unfortunately, with a leg injury. Looks like his knee. The guy that they brought in to take his place, Shannon Dawson, went right at him on this play. And if you watch the route that Arroyo runs, Arroyo's really skilled for a tight end. If you watch the route that he runs here, look at this little move that he puts on this safety to freeze him just for a tick, which allows him then to run right by him. And Cam puts it right on him. Okay, Ward's third best pass of the game was the 28-yard completion to Arroyo to start the second quarter. Now, Iowa State's in cover 0, and they're showing 7-man heat. Cam has an interior guy right in his face immediately, okay? Cam does a great job of slipping the tackle, and he delivers the same crossing route as the 40-yard touchdown to Trader that I talked about earlier. That was a hell of a throw to start the second quarter. And Cam Ward did a great job of slipping that tackle and then putting the ball right on Arroyo. Okay, and then the fourth best pass was his first touchdown pass. Now, this is only a little 4-yarder to Jacoby George, but the type of throw that it was and where they were on the field was really impressive because they're running, they call it an RPO. I just think it's window dressing, showing run action. So Cam's got to put the ball down for the running back. And we're talking about now a short amount of real estate that George is running his route to. So Cam Ward doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of time to get the ball out of his hand. And he can't throw a 1. So he can't put it on a rope because the defender is in between him and George. So he has to throw a 2 in there, which he does perfect. So he puts the ball down, pulls it out, gets it out right now, and throws it nice and soft to the back line and hits George right in stride. That's the 156th career touchdown pass for Cam Ward. He's the new NCAA career record holder in that category. Okay, let's talk about some Cam Ward odds and ends. First of all, they ran a jailbreak screen early in the game, and a jailbreak screen is when the receiver is coming in towards the tackle box and catching the rock, sticking his toe in the ground and getting north and south. When you run jailbreak screens, you cannot lob the ball over one of your offensive linemen's heads or the defensive lineman. You cannot lob the ball over those interior guys to your screen receiver. And the reason why you can't do that is because with the ball hanging in the air with a lob, it jacks up the timing of the screen. And jailbreak screens have got to be where the receiver in stride can catch the ball, stick his toe in the ground, and go north and south right now. And so this play was jacked up. I don't have this on film, but the play didn't go anywhere because the timing was messed up because Cam tried to lob it over the top of interior guys, and you just can't do that. Okay, and then it wouldn't be a Miami Hurricane game if Cam Ward didn't do something that absolutely drives me nuts. And he basically did 2 things pretty much back to back in this game and pretty much on the same type of throw, which is the check down route. Okay, so the first check down route is an incomplete pass. And Cam does a hell of a job of going through his progressions, and there's his back to the right. There's the check down. Instead of Cam sticking that back foot in the ground, striding, transferring his weight, and throwing the ball with some pace on it so the back can have it in his hands right now and do something with it, he gets sloppy. He allows his weight distribution to be going back. So he ends up throwing the ball basically off his back foot. And by doing that, he throws the ball down low, short. And when you're throwing the ball to your backs, you got to give those guys something that they can catch. That's, they're not receivers. They're running backs. Hopefully you got guys with some receiving skills, but you don't want to ask them to make tough catches, right? Well, this was going to be a tough catch, and this was clearly the result of Cam Ward with sloppy technique, and it was an incomplete pass. Then the second one was the most brutal one, and this one, I mean, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was 3rd and 7 in the second quarter. Cam drops back to pass. Now, Iowa State in this game did a lot of plays where defensively they brought just 2 guys, sometimes 3 guys, but didn't come close to getting to Cam Ward. This is one of those. So he drops, he shuffles back a little bit. There is nobody around him. His running back checks pass pro and leaks out to the right. That's the check down. Now, what Cam did next just totally blows me away. He stood there flat-footed. He turned, he looked at the check down route. Instead of planting that back foot, striding with his left foot, delivering the ball with pace on it so that the back has the rock right now and can make something happen, pick up the first down. Cam flat-foots it and just flicks it like he's playing catch with his 6-year-old nephew in the driveway on a Sunday afternoon. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And because he threw it that way, he threw a soft ball. And because he threw a soft ball, you've got Iowa State's DB now is screaming downhill. Now, the running back is lucky he didn't get his ass blown up on this play because the guy got there just a tick too late. But because he had to wait for a lazy, soft throw, he had to give almost the dead leg and spin out of a tackle that could have been a tackle for no gain, loss of yards. Remember now, this is 3rd and 7, and then he has to spin out of it and fight and get the first down. Okay, now that's all a result of Cam Ward throwing the ball like he threw it. And I've said this in earlier games this year in regards to Cam. Hey, Cam, don't be cool, be good. Okay, and then this is something that's dogged the Canes, at times throughout the season and really hurt them in their loss to Syracuse, which kept them out of the 12-team playoff. And that is not executing on plays that are going to help them win the game. So here we are. Cam does what he does with I'm just going to flick it flat-footed. The ball is slow and, lob to Fletcher. He has to break a tackle to pick up the first down, but then Fletcher gets stripped of the ball. They're driving. The ball is going to be at about the 20 going in. And now they give up the rock and have to go stand on the sideline in a game which they eventually lose by 1 point. Execution. In my opinion, this is coached behavior. Okay. I did not watch every single snap that Cam Ward played at Washington State, but I watched a ton of tape on him. I didn't see him do some of the stuff that he has done at Miami. That is coached behavior. And what I mean by coached behavior is I think Cam Ward is allowed to do stuff that's not corrected. That's not coached up. And there are instances throughout the season where that type of behavior, that type of mechanical execution got him in trouble. Okay, and then, I think it was pretty fitting that Cam Ward's last 2 completions for his college career and for his Miami career were both on the same type of route. That sail route, which is the deep out route. I've been talking about this all year long. Anytime that they needed a completion, if they ran that sail route, whether it was to the slot receiver running it or the outside receiver cutting a split down and running it, either way, it was automatic. Cam Ward throws that deep out really, really well, and he completes one to the right. And in his last one, which was an absolute dime, he had great feet on this one too. It's really, really amazing when he puts it all together. He's got the great feet. He transfers the weight. He gets the ball out on time. He throws a tight spiral and puts it right on the money. And that was his last completion. The last 2 were the same route, the deep out. And that was it for Cam Ward, right? Now, he should have thrown a touchdown pass on his final attempt of his Miami career. they're knocking on the door down there, and they run Jacoby George on what's called a little glance route. It's a quick post, right? And they're running it out of the mesh concept, but the other receiver to the trip side that's not running the mesh, he gets driven downfield and can't get off of the reroute by the Iowa State defender and gets pushed underneath George. And if he's not there, if he can clear, I think he's trying to run the dig route, right? If he can get rid of hands and run that dig to where Cam has got a window to throw that thing on a 1, then he throws his 4th touchdown pass of the game. And that would have been his final completion for Miami. It would have been a tug. And again, we come down to a 1-point loss. As it was, the Canes went in at halftime leading 31-28, and that was the last that we saw of Cam Ward on the day. Okay, so real quickly, let's talk about the bowl games. You know, these things really are a crapshoot. In the good old days before the portal and the NIL, teams would show up for bowl games 2 different ways. Okay. The first one was locked in and ready to play at a high level at what got them to the bowl. Or the second way teams would show up is they enjoyed the hell out of bowl week and all the festivities that came with it and really didn't show up locked in, focused, and ready to play, and they get their ass kicked. All right. Now, you can add a third scenario to that, and this is why I'm really, really fortunate that I'm retired and no longer coach. That third scenario is now you don't know who's going to show up to play when you do go to the bowl game. You don't know whether your best players are going to opt out of the game for the reasons we talked about earlier. You don't know whether your starting quarterback is going to take himself out of halftime of a game. And so it's really a crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get. The fans don't know what they're going to get. The bowl sponsors don't know what they're going to get. Okay, so one big positive of these bowl games is this. No matter which one of those 3 scenarios that I just talked about goes down, this is the one positive thing that happens. Being in a bowl game gives the coaching staff extra practices in order to perfect their schemes on offense and defense, special teams, right? Get better at what they're doing. It gives them extra practices to coach up their guys that are going to be coming back next year, hopefully. Who the hell knows, right? And it gives the coaching staff more evaluation time with those younger players, and it gives them sort of a snapshot, not quite as much as it used to, but a snapshot of what they're going to be looking at with next year's team, next year's rosters, next year's players. It also solidifies recruiting. And you get those extra bowl practices in, and maybe a position that was something that wasn't a priority for you before bowl practices. Now all of a sudden you go, hey, we got to go out and get this dude to plug into this position, you know? So those are the positive things that go on for the coaches. But the rest of the stuff, you know, it's just, it really depends on, I think, the mentality and philosophy of the head coach, because the players are really going to approach the bowl game the way the coaching staff and the head coach approach the bowl game. So this was perfect. After this game, you know, Iowa State's Matt Campbell, who's a hell of a coach, and he's an old school dude. He's a young guy who's an old school coach, and he's developed a really great culture there in Ames, and he runs a really good program. So after the game, the on-field announcer asked him, he said, you know, what is it about you guys? You went through a lot of adversity this year to end up where you are today with a bowl victory. And Campbell looked at him, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he said, it's really hard to find teams anymore in college football, but that's what we have. Man, he hit the nail right on the head with that statement. And so again, it's how you approach the bowl, what your culture's like within your program, because I'll argue this until the cows come home. It matters whether you win or not in the last game of the season. Doesn't matter what type of bowl game you're playing in. It matters that you go out with a win in that last game. It sets the tempo for your off season, and it sets the tempo for the following year. Okay, so in retrospect now, the 2024 Miami Hurricane season was really one of wasted opportunity, and it was ultimately frustrating for Hurricane fans because college football fans really are the people at the end of the day that are paying the price for this NIL and transfer portal bullshit, because the product on the field takes a hit. All right. And so getting back to Miami this year, it's wasted opportunities. They had a once in a generation quarterback, but they had some weak spots in their football team. They still could have overcome those. Okay. But they ran into games. The Syracuse one is really one that's going to haunt them for a long time. Just wasted opportunities, missed scoring opportunities, blown assignments, things that come down to, doing the little things right. And if you don't do the little things right, they have a tendency to bite you in the ass. And the Canes got bit on the ass this year. But it was fun. And I said a while back that Canes fans saw something special this year with QB Cam Ward. It just would have been great if we could have seen him for 2 more quarters. Okay, so as always, if you enjoy my take on quarterbacks, offense, the passing game, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to be a fanboy. I'm just going to give you my opinion on stuff coming from a former quarterback and a former coach. If you enjoy my takes on playing the most difficult position to play in all of sports, the quarterback position, then hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. If you have, I greatly appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Hit the like button. Let me know what you thought of the bowl game. Let me know what you thought of Cam Ward's decision to sit out the second half. Okay, everybody out there, have a happy new year. Be safe on New Year's Eve, and let's start things off right on January 1st. This is QB Unfiltered, and remember, always throw the ball short to guys who can score. See ya.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.